we're all born wildly creative.
That's yeah.
And then we took a job. One of my instructors took me aside and said, it's very competitive out here, and everybody's looking for the same job. And he suggested I maybe become an accountant or something, or
really?
A golf pro or something. I don't know. My first visual memory, like this image that has been in my head my entire life, is of a pool of melted crayons on a hot cement porch. The French poster artist Cassandre said that a good poster enters through the eye and explodes in the brain. The person who knows how to start a fire will always be in demand. I'm not for everybody. I'm only for the sexy people.
Never Work a Day talks to folks that are pivoting their lives to follow their passions. We talk about pitfalls, misadventures, hilarious and heartbreaking, meet the outstanding individuals, and learn about their continuing journey. I'm your host, Nikki Frankel, purveyor of platforms and creator of play spaces, and I'm so excited to bring you the stories of these extraordinary individuals.
Welcome to Never Work a Day. I'm your host, Nikki Frankel. Today we have as our guest James Victore. James Victore is an accomplished artist, designer, and author. He is an unapologetic advocate for creative rebellion whose work challenges perfection, conformity, and fear. Victore attributes his compulsion to question authority to his childhood on a military base in New York during the Vietnam War. After dropping out of art school, Victore began producing self-financed posters for nonprofit organizations devoted to Native Americans, AIDS awareness, and race issues. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, his posters, editorial work, and activist designs gained international attention. He is part of the permanent collections at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, in the Louvre in Paris, the Library of Congress, and the Design Museum in Zurich. James also spent more than a decade teaching at SVA, where he challenged young designers to be brave, to reject perfectionism, and to embrace intuition and a personal voice in their work. Books James has written and created include Feck Perfuction, Dangerous Ideas on the Business of Life, and Victore, or Who Died and Made You Boss. James runs Dangerous Ideas, a series of workshops and coaching programs. His work empowers individuals and organizations to deprogram fear, reclaim their voice, and create work that is deeply human and wildly personal. Please welcome James Victore. James, hello. I think we're starting.
We're starting, baby.
We're starting. Thank you for being here. Thank you for talking to me.
Nikki, I am so happy to be sitting here with you. I'm so glad that we connected after being, not for a while. It's great.
I saw you were doing a series with all the people that we know, which we'll get into in a minute. And I thought, sweet, this is great.
Such a great opportunity. Thank you.
Of course. And we know each other. We were trying to think about it through the memory banks that we have. We were trying to think about how we remember each other, which was you spoke at Adobe 99U twice. Was this like 2014, 2013 framework? What was the talk about? Do you remember?
That was my period. It was just before my second book, and it was called Your Work is a Gift. That was the theme I was working on at that time.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were very inspirational talks.
They were good.
And I was happy. And there was the unicorn pooping rainbows icon that came from that. That's
from my own event.
From your own event that you did.
Take this job and love it.
Yeah. Did that event come from your talk, that initial talk that you did?
I think that came from, so I had been working on a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
I had notebooks full of, and a wall full of all these ideas, and put them all together. I call them my 12 commandments.
Right.
Because, 12 is better than 10. And I was like, I should do something with this. And a client of mine, MailChimp, said, hey, James, what would you do if we gave you $200,000? And I said,
that's a nice question.
First, I would have lunch in France. Then I would probably put on a big ass event. And so we decided to do it at the Time Center, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a great event.
Whatever it was, 12, 15 years ago, I still get mail from people who were there and were like, dude, that was...
It was very inspirational for what it was at the time. And that was when everyone was talking about inspiration and regard to work. Back in that moment.
Yeah.
And then I actually came to you. Well, the thing I'm a little excited about, well, I'm excited about this whole conversation, but the thing that I'm excited about is that you did the logo for Preview, When I had started Preview because of that Adobe conference, right? And I came and I needed branding. I'd learned, if I'd learned anything from any of those, all the things I sat in, that I needed some accurate branding for what I needed. And I needed a logo. And I was so excited that you just threw together the Preview.
Just threw together. We
just
thought
throw it
about a couple
together.
things, but it seemed to, you have a signature, Nikki. You are a signature, and that's what we wanted to express through that.
Yeah, and that was really. It seemed like you threw it together. It seemed like, oh, that's the perfect thing. Thank you so much.
Supposed to
immediately.
Feel like that.
Yeah. But even just that handwriting, that has been sort of your signature. Or it is your signature throughout all of this. It's just a very honor to do that because, when I started the company, I was working with a designer from Adobe who said that my website had to be decent and my logo had to be decent, or forget having the company altogether. And go to James.
Dang.
I think we both know who that designer might be. And I was very grateful, and it's held me through. And it's really been, it's amazing what design can do, because it's been a bit of a torch for me throughout the process of owning a business, that if you have something you feel is emblematic of you, either like makes you feel like a rock and roll star or whatever, gives you an edge, that it really does keep you going as a business owner.
A good identity or a good series look, it's kind of like makeup, right? It kind of makes you feel a little emboldened, a little proud to go out.
Makes you feel stronger.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy to reconnect with you. And I wanted to talk a little bit about your background, because I didn't know, we were talking about this before we got on the mics, that you grew up in a military base in New York. But because you grew up in the military base, your dad flew and would bring back all this stuff, right?
Yeah. My dad was... I grew up on a number of different military bases, but my dad was traveling until I was 11. He was a lifer, and he flew air refueling. So he was over Vietnam. He was in Paris. He was in Goose Bay, Labrador. He was in Madrid. He was all over the place. And he would, when he did come home, he brought home antiquities. He brought home, back in the 70s, when those countries were still, they weren't influenced by the U.S., they were still authentic, just brought home, crazy objects. And I was talking with my son last night. We had dinner last night, and we took him to a Japanese restaurant. We were using chopsticks, and I was like, when I was a kid, my father brought home, exquisite batik, bamboo, hand-lettered chopsticks that were exquisite, and we just figured out how to use them, and just influences like that were kind of huge to me as a little kid.
Yeah, of course.
I got to see the world without seeing the world.
Yeah, and so you were in New York on the military base. Where else did you go as a military?
I was born on a military base in Mountain Home, Idaho.
Okay,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
but only there for a year, and then in outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico for a bit, and then New Jersey for a bit, and then upstate New York.
Did the military infiltrate, as it were, into your psyche?
It's funny. I say, the two things that I got and I hold on to from being reared in the military. I wasn't in the military, but as a brat,
it was
you're
around.
kind of in the
you were
military.
Around it, right?
Two things I got that serve me today. One is good posture. Because you were told by your mother, like, shoulders back, chin up, chest out, right? It's like you just got good posture. And to question authority, oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah, I got the opposite of
Did
the
you
military.
feel like you could question authority when you were there? Like, did you know there were people you weren't allowed to?
Not in my household. Not at home. Not at home. Yeah. But it was a time when you were painting, we were doing bad stuff abroad, and kids were painting peace signs on their notebooks and stuff.
Are we still?
were, have been continually, but let's not go into it.
Well, we can. I'm happy to. I'm happy to touch upon it, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a bit of rebellion going on around that.
Strong, too,
Yeah, of course. I mean, were you a teenager and on those military bases around? That's where you continued to grow up all the way through?
We got off the base by the time I was 11, but my dad was still in the military, but we were off the base. And it's funny because when I was a kid, I had two posters in my room. So, I'm a poster designer. Mm-hmm. Two posters in my room, and they were both important to me. And one was this black light poster that if you turned off the lights, and my dad made this little black light bulb out of a 7-Up can. It was very cool. But you turn off the light and it glowed, and it was made out of flocking, but it was two people, very hippie, dancing, and it was all made out of paisleys. It was beautiful and colorful and exotic. And then the one that hung over my bed was a poster that my father had brought home from Vietnam. And it was an image of Marines storing a beach. And it was made as a faux travel poster.
Sure.
And it said, travel the world, meet interesting people, and kill them. Vietnam.
Seriously?
Yes. And the funny thing is, I only later realized my dad didn't understand irony.
Yeah, he did. He just thought that was like a
He's like, yes, that's what we do.
This is what we're doing.
Yes, that's what we're doing.
And it was truly an ironic poster.
It was kind of an anti-war poster, and he was like, yeah, well, that's cool.
Here.
Put that over your bed.
That's a huge...
Sleep under that.
That's a huge irony that you just slept under for a long time.
Those two images, kind of a portrait of who I am.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So when you started creating your own work, did you actually start creating your own posters and your own drawings? And did you start doing that when you were a kid, or when did you really feel? Can
I tell you a story that's kind of
course.
Important to me? So when we were in New Mexico, I had my first visual memory, like this image that has been in my head my entire life. Is of a pool of melted crayons on a hot cement porch, right? This beautiful melange of colors.
Wow.
And I was thinking about it maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I had to ask my mom. I'm like, did I just make this up because I'm a designer and I'm creative and it's kind of taking me away? And I asked my mom, and I said, hey, Mom, do you remember melted crayons on the porch? And she was like, oh, yes, I remember. And I knew the thing that I took in as beautiful, I also took in her response, which was, who's going to clean that up? This is not our house. Like, so her anger is also embedded in that. And that's also what I want from my work.
Reactionary.
I want it to be beautiful. I want it to have that kind of reaction or some emotional impact to it.
Yeah, that's interesting that sort of first thing that she saw is just a mess.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like, who's gonna
was
clean
your
this shit up?
first kind of inspiration towards rebellious
Yeah.
artwork, I guess, right? Because I mean, were you schooled on art? I mean, did you have access to what was conventional in terms of?
No, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why when I was 19, I moved here to New York City because there was none of that. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted. I kind of knew that I had already failed out of one university, a state university of New York. I was supposed to be I think I wanted to be a physics major because I was interested in how things moved. But I realized it's all math. So I was like, whoa, no, thank you very much. So I failed out of that, and I was waiting tables. And the chef who ended up being, his name is Gary Danko, and he owns one of the restaurants in San Francisco that you can't get in.
Really?
But he was an upstate New York kid as well. And he even fired me twice. And he said, dude, go. You belong in New York. So I came here, and I knew what I wanted. So
what did you want?
I wanted to have my name on the door. I wanted to be one of the world's best poster designers. I wanted to have that impact.
And you knew it was a poster designer. It was more about something involving graphics and promotion and, sort of,
big punch in the eye.
I mean, were you following any of the stuff that was happening in the 70s or 80s in regard to art and Warhol and all of that sort of pops?
Only the stuff that filtered upstate, which was a little bit. Is a little bit. Here's another funny story, which was my mom worked, my father was gone all the time, and my mom worked a full-time job for the State University Library, for the university library there. So I was a latchkey kid. I had tons of freedom. But where I went to school was not near where I lived. It was near the library. So I would get out of school, walk over a couple blocks and go to the library and wait for my mom to finish work so she could drive me home. And to amuse me, she put down just big picture books. She knew I liked to draw, so she'd give me paper, a pen, and big picture books. Those picture books were actually design annuals from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, like Graphiche and Italian design. And so I was going through and getting an education in design history without even knowing when I was 10.
That's that's ideal.
I know.
You didn't even
I
know.
know.
It just got in
I
there
know.
into your psyche.
And of course, my
that's-
mom was like, yeah, well, but of course. But, oh, yes. It's
That
all,
was my
it's
idea all
Oh,
along.
of course. Yes.
Yeah. So that's where the poster sort of came from, because that's pretty specific, I guess.
Yeah. And anything that those guys, those heroes of mine, anything they had, anything they did, it was like, that's what I want.
And was
I
it, did
want
you
that.
associate it with advertising at the time?
Not
or-
advertised. It was not advertising at
It
all.
was-
It was imagery. It was for me. I think it was accessible art. Like I didn't want to be a painter.
Right.
I didn't want to do that. There seemed to be some direction, or maybe a client,
Yeah.
maybe, or a prompt or a commission or something that drove those. But it wasn't art, and I think that.
And you
I
liked, and the fact that it wasn't art, it wasn't being held to that sort of whatever art
and
is.
it wasn't restricted to museums. It was out in the street.
It was out in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
like
did you
that.
also then like street art around that time too? I mean, you didn't take to any
I'm
of
chicken
the.
shit.
You didn't feel like didn't feel like drawing on walls or doing
done
any
my
of that
share
kind of.
rip, 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 rip. That's great. Run.
Yeah,
you know? But
it's too.
no.
Yeah, no. So
No,
then,
that's very. I have friends. I've got friends who wheat paste and wild plakat and who paint on walls, and that's a different thing.
It is a different
and
thing.
I respect the shit out of them, but
But
ain't
you-
for me.
Yeah, I mean, because you would think that poster art or sort of art direction or art, sort of graphic design for clients would be restrictive, but maybe not necessarily. Do you have clients when you first came to New York? Well, when you first came to New York, what did you create?
When I first came to New York, I came here to go to school. I came
Okay.
to the School of Visual Arts.
Oh, you did?
I did, and I didn't last very long.
Nobody. I've heard that before. I've heard that before.
It didn't last very long. There was no fire. There was none of what I came here for.
Right, the energy.
I wanted the energy. I wanted the danger. I wanted someone to light a fire. It seemed like felt like more of a production line.
Right.
And I also kind of knew what I wanted. So I was taken aside. One of my instructors took me aside and said, it's very competitive out here and everybody's looking for the same job. And he suggested I maybe become an accountant or something, or
really?
a golf pro or something. I don't know. So I actually, I left that day, walked out that day, but I knew what I wanted. So.
Okay. Well, you knew you wanted to do that. So did you start doing that on your own then?
Yes. Yes. I actually started as a book jacket designer because working freelance in New York, because I was 19, 20, working freelance in New York, there was a lot of work for book jackets.
Huh.
And me coming from the library background and whatnot, it made sense. And then I was like 21, 22, and I was making good money working for all the big New York publishers. And I literally, Nick, it sounds funny, but I was wearing silk suits and I bought my first motorcycle cash, and I was living out in Red Hook with 0 to nothing rent and driving into town. And I woke up one day, and what I was doing was making book jackets look like book jackets because I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing.
You're making them look just like a book jacket
Yeah,
would.
I'd go into the bookstore and go, oh, okay, that's what they're supposed to look like. Let me do that. I was doing what I call now, I was making the obvious obviouser.
Right.
And then I woke up one day and I was like, hey, wait a minute. I got my own sense of humor.
Yeah.
I got my own way of seeing things, my own color and composition and style and
Did you wake up
typography.
one day and think that?
Because I was getting paid well. I was like,
Yeah.
I should start doing that. And as soon as I start doing that, my clients wanted nothing to do with me. They wanted the expected. They wanted to see the obvious. And I couldn't, I
once you
couldn't do
saw
it.
the
So
other
again,
side
there was
of it.
another level of failure that I had to kind of get over and say, okay, I got to go find my clients, the ones who will work, the ones who are interested in what I have to say.
And how did you find them?
My first publishing client, I had to get on my motorcycle and go out to New Jersey to this small publisher. I'd seen some work that they had done. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it was called Citadel. And they were like, I got along well with the art director. He was somewhat of a dangerous dude and young. And we started working together. And Nikki, like a year and a half later, their offices were on Park Avenue. They were a big company. I was doing most of their covers. They really helped me craft like work that I thought was seminally like me. But then again, I woke up and I was like, yeah, I'm getting paid, but I'm not doing posters.
You were just doing,
I was doing book jackets,
Yeah, right.
commercial work.
Of course.
So I had to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. And how did you, I mean, it's funny, you just kept on having these realizations. Did you get restless? Did you start feeling restless? Is that when you guided you in terms of finding other things?
And I think that's what happens to all designers, but not all designers pay attention to it.
I think that happens to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're all born wildly creative.
That's yeah.
And then we took a job.
Right. Well, yeah, and we took a job and then we didn't know how to translate our creativity into that job, or that it even should be translated in the first place.
Exactly. That we don't allow ourselves, and that's a big thing. And I was constantly trying to figure out how to allow myself. And as far as the financial thing, I kept my overhead low.
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted, and it was stronger than the fear of
It's good to know what you want, though, but you felt confident in what you wanted, though, didn't you?
I trust myself.
That's a big piece.
I think so.
I mean, a lot of people don't trust themselves.
Then, I trust myself. I trust my gift, my creativity. And this is the biggest part that most people miss. I trust my audience.
Trust them to do what? To
understand, to see, to get it.
To see what you're doing?
Yeah.
Because a lot of this, you keep on referring to dangerous. And that makes me interested. Because I don't think about dangerous in regard to work. I think work should evoke some kind of reaction, right? What reaction that is dangerous mean counter? Does dangerous mean angry? Does dangerous mean, I mean, when you say that person was particularly dangerous, was that mean controversial? Is that sort of, or outside of the norm?
I think the outside of the norm thing is pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I think it's when other people perceive the work, they're kind of like, well, you're not supposed to do that. You can't say that.
It's that.
Right? Warhol was full of that. For example, Keith Haring.
Absolutely. All of them are full of that. It's funny now, though, to look at what's happening, and there's nothing, it doesn't seem like anything.
No.
So the concept of dangerous, now it doesn't seem like there's anything that would necessarily.
Yeah. I think the stakes have gotten higher.
Yeah.
I think, again, we don't want to get into the surveillance
we can.
No, I think that belittles our conversation.
I agree. I think it's always good to just confirm that I miss dangerous. I miss when things were dangerous. I'm not super young. I'm not a millennial. And I do miss when things did seem shocking and when things were scandalous or provocative.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like that's there anymore. And so thinking of somebody as dangerous is still sort of an interesting thing to think about what that means.
The French poster artist Cassandre said that a good poster enters through the eye and explodes in the brain. And I think that's fantastic because what happens is you see it, you perceive it, and then you start putting all the pieces together and it's like, oh, I get it. And when I was teaching, I was always pushing students to like the image as almost contrary when they see the logo, it's all of a sudden when they put those things together, it's like, oh, shh.
Because it's concepts.
Yeah.
It's concept and follow through and sort of an overall.
And how you could evoke that.
How you can, yeah. Did you have artists that you followed when you were like, did you like punk? Did you like things that were a bit rebellious in nature?
I had there were a lot of designers who I looked up to and as soon as I had $1 in my pocket, I went and met them. Like I went to Poland and I went to Paris and I went to the Netherlands and met these guys.
Yeah.
Those were the ones that I had seen in those books,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to go talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And yes, was I influenced by Merle Haggard and Johnny Rotten? Yes.
Yeah, because it seems like that's what was happening around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a bit of that streak going through your work and just like the design in itself. Because the design of a lot of that punk was sort of evocative of poster design of things that you would see, right?
Yeah. And even even Vivienne Westwood, even in fashion.
100%.
Yeah. I was walking through Soho last night and I saw these what do they call them? Used to be called penny loafers,
Sure.
Penny loafers.
Yeah.
But they were green and they had a 6-inch high heel on it. And I was like, I just want to buy those. I just want to have those.
Yeah.
I was like, there was some woman was walking by me and I was like, I just wanted to grab her and say, can I buy these for you? Because those are fucking awesome.
Yeah, because it's still controversial. Yeah, for sure. I wonder, your handwriting, I want to get into like your work because your work is so different. And then it's different because you know what it is, like that's the trademark, I think. If you're an artist and people can kind of see, oh, I know who that is, that's a trademark for you.
It's crazy.
And I guess it's the handwriting, which we talked about with the preview, but you use that, you're using that in your latest Fearless series, but did you find it? Did you practice it? Did you just is that how you always wrote?
I think early as a designer, I started just before computers.
Yeah.
And I didn't have much.
Right.
I was designing book covers with a piece of wood on my lap. That was my drawing board, right? And typesetting and stuff. But it was kind of art povera. I didn't have a lot, so I kind of had to find easy ways to do things.
Yeah.
So I started using my handwriting. And over the years, I kind of developed it. And if I see I was walking last night and there was a sign for a restaurant in Little Italy and it said Sophia, and the S was fantastic. So I took a photograph of it. So like I might try to incorporate. I'm always building the vocabulary. There's like certain letters that I like my M right now because it looks like a crown. It has 3 bumps instead of 2. Like my G, I love whenever I get a job opportunity to use a G. It's like silly things like that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people go, oh my God, your handwriting. And to me, I can understand it from an outside perspective, looking at my work. But to me, it's my work, and I'm always trying to get away from it. So I'm always trying to figure out how to make it look new again.
To yourself.
To me.
So you're not.
To me, yeah.
Yeah.
And I use tools that invite danger. Like I don't know what line they're going to make.
Right.
Right. Brushes that could splatter at every moment. Right. So I want to invite that into the work.
Yeah, and some of your stuff actually reminds me a little bit of Ralph Steadman.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Like that sort of that handwriting that he has with the splatter.
Yeah,
and I think the danger in it is what makes it exciting. Obviously for you too, as an artist, right? Because you never know what you're gonna get. Yeah,
the last thing I want to do is have a rubber stamp, right?
Yeah. Well, you could have an alphabet
I could just
book.
work in branding for that.
Yeah, you can. That's true. That's well.
Although I've got some friends who do, art level branding, so it's possible.
But it's still a signature. And when did you first discover your hand? Did the handwriting? It's been evolving, but
yeah,
it's been around with you for a long time.
Early on, I did a book cover, and this was when I just started doing my own work, my something they would call signature, and I think it was the first book cover that had my handwriting on it, and I wrote out the title, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That looks like Paul Rand's handwriting, and I was like, that's not a bad thing to look like Paul Rand's handwriting. So yeah. But now I try to get it really like some super elegant cursive. But
you
again,
should do an alphabet book.
But again,
that should be your alphabet.
I have somebody who's like, James, we will pay you to give you a brush and a jar of ink and do an alphabet for us, please.
Yeah.
So I think December might be me working on that.
That's exciting. When did you start doing political poster work? You have some that are political and they have a bent in that. Did you just do that on your own or was that a contracted?
It started on my own, yeah.
Yeah.
So growing up during, during Vietnam and seeing the news and my parents talking about the news, it was, that was in the house all the time and having, living with kind of a war hawk and seeing in my mind, seeing the kind of dichotomy there. I was always kind of interested in that almost journalistic quality that graphic design can have.
Yeah.
And when I was here and working as a book jacket designer, an opportunity came up that kind of pinged in my head, and it was the 500th anniversary of the celebration of, Columbus.
Right. This is one of my favorites.
And I was reading the Times, and it was all about the parties and the parade and this, and I was like, where's the fucking pox-infested blankets?
Right.
Where's the continued, to this day, genocide? Where's the splitting up of families and taking children to Canada away from their parents so they don't learn their language and can't communicate anymore and destroying entire culture?
Nowhere.
So I came up with my first poster. We call it the Dead Indian, and it was just a very beautiful beautiful portrait of a Hunk Papa Sioux chief. And then I just scribbled, as you would, if you were a kid and there was a political poster, you'd like get black out teeth and give him a scar. I like scribbled a little skull details on his face. And then up in the corner in beautiful, Hallmark greeting typography, it says, "Celebrate Columbus." Right? Celebrate, and the undertone is "Celebrate Columbus, kill an Indian."
Correct.
Right? And that poster has taken on legs.
Where did it first appear?
Columbus
that poster?
Circle.
Did you put it
during the?
Did you just print it out?
I printed it. I went and I had a couple dollars. Totally bad business plan. Set me up horribly for the rest of my life. Just like paying for my own posters and paying to get them put up, which is more expensive than even the ink on paper. And it was great too, because it was like I got them printed and I'm like, how do I get these up? And I found that there was 2 different mafias that ran this thing. So I worked with the Greek mafias. And I got in touch with them and they're like, okay, we'll work with your printer, print the posters, and then have the posters delivered to the stage entrance of Lincoln Center on a Monday night. So my printer brought them boxes of these like 15,000 of these dead Indians, and then they put them in their van and they just went driving throughout New York,
Seriously?
putting them up. And the studio I was working out of at the time was Carnegie Hall.
Oh.
And so I was right near Columbus Circle, and I was sitting out, a couple days before the parade, and I was sitting on, that's where I parked my motorcycle too. So Columbus Circle, I haven't been there lately, so I don't know if it's the same, but sitting out and I'm having a sandwich and I'm looking across the street and there's Calvin Klein and there's Lethal Weapon 3 and there's freaking 4 or 6 dead Indians.
That somebody put up.
They
just put them up.
And I'm like, and that's the reason to do posters and to do them at that size, because it uses the language that people on the street are used to. They're like, oh, that's something I need to pay attention to.
Right.
It's valid. Just like Lethal Weapon. That's why you don't do a little 8.5 by 11 and tape it up, because that just feels like, oh, it's not believable.
You do it in a larger sense.
Yeah.
But it is sort of that you were doing street art. I mean, you weren't doing the actual...
I wasn't hanging them. And it was funny because I'm sitting there eating my sandwich and looking and going, man, it's pretty fucking cool. And of course, there was no iPhones. I would have like filmed and everything. But I see a cop car pull up and they open the trunk and the cops get out and they pull out what looks like a mop, but it doesn't have all the frillies on it. It's just that the metal.
And they scraped it off? Really? Was it satisfying to see them do that?
I didn't have the balls to go, I don't like that Calvin Klein poster either. You should take that
one down.
Like that kid in underwear, what the hell's that?
Did it feel good to see that it was causing up? Because, for the fact that you like the dangerous ideas, or did you feel you're censored.
There are a bunch of images that I've done that have my name on it and my signature on it. And someone asked me a long time ago, they said, have you ever gotten arrested? I'm like, I must not be trying hard enough. Because no, I haven't.
Yeah, because the work is dangerous, but when you say dangerous, it's because people aren't saying it necessarily, right? It's not that you feel personally like any work that you've done, you've ever been threatened because of that. Yeah. And I think it's maybe because you got in before everybody started saying things on social media about anything potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you do that again? Did you like that experience so much that you did it again?
Oh yeah, again, a bunch of times.
So what were the topics of other things that you?
One was during the holidays, a couple years later during the holidays. And I think it was, forget which, I think Giuliani.
Right. There was a lot of art censorship.
Yeah, there were posters that were going up in the subway that there were thought bubbles.
Right.
So you sat down on the train and behind you was your thought bubble, right? This pointed to you. And it said, oh no, here they come. They're looking for money, blah, blah. And it was this whole thing about not giving to the homeless.
Right.
So I did this big poster. I put the mayor's office logo on it. I put Mayor Giuliani's signature on it. And it was this hand reaching up, and above it said, do not feed the animals. And I gave it to my printers, my guys to put up. And you know where it ended up?
Where did it end up?
subway entrances
Oh.
everywhere. It was right on the subway entrance, right next to where you're going down.
Really?
Do not feed the animals. Office of Mayor Giuliani.
I mean, I like that you were doing your work. It was guerrilla style in terms of you putting it out there, but you didn't actually have to do
Yeah.
anything about that, right?
I could sit behind, go.
I mean, like, because also there's a racism picture and there's a few other ones that, that are sort of part of regular collections.
Racism
now.
has come back now. People are asking for it, and I'm giving rights to people to use it for different things, you know, for free because I never got paid for any of these things, and I wasn't interested in getting paid for them.
And because you had a regular job that you were doing.
Yeah, I was a designer.
Yeah, and so it was just wanting to do these other things just to express.
Yeah.
And to have that going.
Yeah,
on the
I was
side.
doing commercial stuff.
Yeah, and this probably made you feel
like
empowered.
Batman.
Yeah, right.
Dark
Gave
Knight.
you an alternate ego.
Yeah.
What's this union that was putting up all your stuff? Who did?
I don't even know if they exist. They must exist because they're putting posters up today.
Yeah.
And I saw one last night, and it was this beautiful fashion photograph, and it was put up on some scaffolding where there was like a metal bar behind, and it just goes right over the metal bar.
Yeah.
Beautifully hung, right? And I'm like, if I did fashion, that's what I would want it to look like. Like it had this
edges
distress to it, this grit, urban
this
reality.
Honesty. Messy honesty. Yeah. And
it's
just
a great
real.
word.
Yeah, honesty is
a great
what
word.
you have. Your first book was Feck Perfuction, is that what it was?
The first book was Victore, or Who Died and Made You Boss.
Was that your first one?
Yeah,
I wanted to say that title because it's
coffee table
hilarious.
book.
It made me laugh.
That's the word when I was a kid.
If
it were in my house and you were a kid and you stepped outside of your, the known boundaries, there were many, you would get, Who Died and Made You Boss. Like it was like,
just taking you down.
Yeah.
Basis. So you had a really nice, I have that book. I actually own that book.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's your first art book, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
And that was a compilation.
And it's a tombstone to me as a graphic designer. So yeah, that was the first book. And then Feck is the next one.
Yeah, Feck is the one after that. Yeah. Feck Perfuction, that you felt like you had an ideology to share at that point? That's like...
I had the 12 Commandments.
Yeah.
And...
Can you list the 12 Commandments for
it'd be hard to get them all, but
overview.
Your work is a gift.
Okay.
There ain't no rules. There ain't no rules. Feck Perfuction was actually
which is really great for the dyslexics.
Yes.
I really like it.
This is an important one. The things that made you weird as a kid make you great today.
That's a good one.
And that's just me. When I was writing Who Died, I was thinking about me as a kid, and I'm like, oh my God, all these things that my parents I would get, at school or wherever, those things that made me weird make me great now. And I've got to hold on to those things. That's important. Most of us, we disallow it. Can I go off on a tangent? Actually, what I'm thinking about. So I've got fantastic kids. I was with my older boy last night, and I've got my 8-year-old and my 10-year-old, and I'm I'm a divorced dad, so I'm kind of a single dad with 2 kids, and I know because of them, I know why my parents shut me down. I know why they shut me down because it's annoying. I've got 2 of them, and they want my attention, and they give me constantly, both of them at the same time. So I'm teaching them how to listen to each other. But at the same time, they recite to me the most beautiful and innate and primitive urge to create. And they say it over and over again. And it's the thing that adults have lost. And it goes like this. And you know it because you have a 3-year-old. Hey, Daddy, look at me. Look what I can do.
Yeah.
We hear it all the time, and I don't shut it down. I'm like, guys, I'm doing the dishes. I want to hear everything you have to say, but give me a moment.
Yeah.
I want to say, shut the right?
I know, but you can't. You can't
because I can't shut it down the way it was shut down. Well, attempted to shut down me, and it's funny because now I'm writing about these ideas like look at me, look what I can do, and trying to teach adults how to say that because we have to allow ourselves.
Well, where do we get
seen.
shut down? Where do you think we get shut down? Is it? I mean, Because I do feel like it is, I'm trying to be very present with my child because I do feel like I was shut down in that same way. So probably we get that. We want to be seen. We want to feel special. We want
to be seen and heard and loved, of course.
And then we get shut down, I guess, somewhere along the line.
Because it's funny. Jean-Paul Sartre, philosopher, writer, he wrote, "L'enfer, c'est les autres." Hell is other people.
It's true.
Because everybody, our thoughts, our decisions, and our actions based on other people.
It's true.
Based on other people. Like even me now, I'm like, you're gonna say that you're gonna say that in public? Do you look okay? Does she like you? Like this is the shit that's going on in my head in the back, and I've got to go. Shut the fuck up. Just keep going.
And just keep being yourself. I mean, being yourself and being
trying
authentic
to be honest.
and being as much as we can.
And this, I'm not for everybody. I'm only for the sexy people.
I mean, I don't think anyone's for anyone. I guess then in this sort of framework of thinking about authenticity and self, what do you think, and as you see your kids growing up, what do you think about how people are putting themselves out there in terms of being a personality or
it's weird.
Promoting themselves? Yeah.
It's weird. And the problem I have with this contemporary version of putting yourself out is that it is pleasure-based and not purpose-based.
Right.
That's a big problem.
That's a good point.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Is it can't be about pleasure and me, and what am I getting for this?
Right.
Right.
How many likes? How many people are looking at it? Etc. It's more about what you're giving,
and you can't care.
Right.
Like you can't go craving and seeking that the reward. You can't. It's you have to love the process. You have to love who you are. You have to love all the things that you're capable of, and let them out.
It's hard to see it, though. It's hard to see it because I feel like more than ever, everyone's trying to create a brand out of themselves, right? Especially, I always feel now with art that it's not about what makes me sort of nuts is that I never really cared about who the artist was as a person. Like I never really thought about, I cared, but it wasn't, the work was the thing. When I would follow artists, the work was what I was looking at. What they were about or their backstory informed it, but it wasn't the main thing that I was paying attention to. I feel like now a lot of artists, a lot of people in creative spheres need to tell their story in order to get their work to be seen in the way that they wanted to be seen, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I wonder how you feel about that as somebody who's been putting work out sort of anonymously initially, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your initial sort of artwork and posters, you weren't trying to promote yourself. You were doing it absolutely anonymously.
And I was just seeing what having a signature, because I'd seen it in books.
Right.
And Nikki, if you look at the body of my work, I signed it. Someone just on my way over here, I looked at Instagram and somebody just tagged me because they had put a signature on something, and they said I've been working for 20 years and I'm just today put my signature on my piece because James Victore says artists sign their work.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's not
because I've done work for Time Magazine and Esquire Magazine and covers for big magazine. I signed the cover.
Of course.
My signature is on the front of the book jackets I've designed.
Right.
Because I did. Yeah. Because Paul Rand did.
Yeah. Well, that's as you should.
No one said what.
That
no,
almost
wait,
makes the difference, though, between an artist and a graphic design. I mean, right?
Probably.
That's maybe the difference.
Probably.
I suppose.
Yeah.
That if you're just doing graphics, then you sort of are aligning to the mission associated with that.
Yeah.
With that client or what have you. And did you start designing, when you started designing client work, what was the first one you signed that was a published printed?
Those early
the posters.
The Citadel Press. When I started working with Citadel Press,
you started signing.
Yeah, and the first cover I did for them was actually they handed me this book and they said, "We're going to redesign this. This has been out for a long time. We're going to redesign this cover." And I said, "I'm not going to redesign this cover because it's perfect and it's beautiful." And it was Johnny Got His Gun, the classic anti-war novel from the First World War. Beautiful black and white cover. I forget who the original designer was. And he said, "Think about it." And I thought about it, and I'm like, okay. And I redesigned it, but I put the old cover on the back cover with the credit of the guy because
as you should
pay respect.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that was signed, and it was my version was brutal. His was beautiful. My version was brutal. My version was very much and done at about the same time as the Dead Indian. It was a photograph of some Marines dismounting out of a chopper, a helicopter, literally on the photograph was from Hamburger Hill. And what I did was like in the supermarket, you go in the supermarket and you see a big, huge mural and it's a cow and you see all the flank, loin. I drew those lines over his body and called them out because I was like, that's what we are. That's what we are. That's what just today too, angry old men sending boys off to do their bullshit.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. We need your political posters now more than ever, I think. Not to get into the thing. Whatever. But, I know. We don't want to degrade our conversation.
The stakes are high. I know, traveling now, I'm like, okay, I'm going to Europe. Let's see if I get there.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Right?
There's that. I mean, because I did feel.
Mr. Victor. They wouldn't even say my name right? When you write Mr. Victor.
Yeah, they won't even.
No,
I
just
know.
like,
it's
come
it's
here.
very risky.
Black bag. Plop.
Yeah, I know. I mean, do you feel like there's still activist artwork? Do you feel like I'm not.
Yeah, I know some people who are on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter X who are doing stuff, and they are constantly getting blocked and shadow banned. And Jesse Duquette, brilliant illustrator, is doing really super aggressive Trump stuff. And I just saw he just made a post and it says, "I'm back," because he got
knocked off,
and he's just got to keep going.
Yeah,
I feel like a coward because I'm like, but I've got to make a living. I have that inside of me too.
I think we all have that inside of us. But I mean, you were very brave when you started doing those posters initially.
Well,
right?
and I didn't have 2-3 kids. I didn't have.
I know, but it's
a life.
Well, yeah, and I guess it's dangerous. I guess it is. The stakes are much higher than they used to be in regard to all of this.
I am making a little bit, and I'm reposting a lot of other people's stuff,
which is great to support.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think a big part of this that you talk about all the time, and I wonder where you started to think about it, because you have been now coaching and sort of teaching people that they can kind of live to work as opposed to work to live.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And when did you feel like that was necessary to start spreading that message around? Did you see something?
When I first started traveling to Europe and I saw it in practice.
You saw them actually enjoying their lives?
What are you people doing? You crazy people. Yeah. It's the middle of the day and you're drinking.
And you're taking
a
nap.
Crazy? And you're sleeping. My dad would be furious.
Yeah, so, and then you came back here and you realized.
I'm like, guys. How much time do we got?
Yeah.
And I try to like I said, I have 2 kids and I've literally designed my life so I can be around them as much time as possible. So I live and work in the same place because I like them. Yeah. I like my kids. I like being around them.
Good. Yeah.
I didn't feel that when I grew up. I didn't feel that connection or that purpose with my folks.
Well,
I'm like, it was like open the door at breakfast and go, don't come back till dinner. I'm like,
well, that's also that's a bit. I mean, that's a lot of freedom with that too. That probably we were talking about this. That I feel like I was raised by boomers, and they make you terrified of everything. And I don't know, it's a generational thing necessarily.
Yeah.
But they were raised in a similar way. Where like, just go out and don't come back.
Yeah.
And it's just a difference in terms of, did you feel like you weren't raised with a lot of fear then of anything, or there was?
No, there's a piece of art and a piece that goes with it in Feck Perfuction, and it's a photograph of me me as a kid, probably like 6 or 7, and over it I wrote the things that I remember I wanted to be, and I wanted to be a daredevil, and I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I wanted to be a writer and an artist. And I kind of got all those things.
Yeah.
Like I even got the Evel Knievel thing. Like 5 years ago, on a dirt bike, I broke this collarbone and all of these ribs.
Yeah.
Because I was out doing what I like doing.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I wanted to be those
But you didn't have the fear of those. I mean, I think we all start with wanting to do something else. And then at some point somebody says no.
Yeah.
or you can't,
and
or whatever.
And your playfulness and your creativity becomes a target because you're like, you're just singing your song. You're just doing the things you want to do. And somebody says, hey, I'm sorry, you can't do that here. And you're not wrong, but you
suddenly feel restricted,
so you're shamed.
And you're shamed into...
And you want to fit in, and there's all these other reasons, and everybody else is doing it. And, it's like crazy because now for adults, and you talk about coaching them, for adults, what we have is the bar. So we go to the bar after work, and we're like, oh, your wife does this, my wife does that, I guess I'm okay. Oh, you hate your job, I hate my job, I guess I'm okay. We have this level of comfort in our discomfort.
Well, yeah, but that's not a great place to...
It's a horrible
that's not a great place to live.
No, it's normal. It's normal. And normalcy will fucking kill you. Normalcy is acid instead of blood. Normalcy is giving away all of your gifts and all of your creativity and all of your opinions. And it's horrible.
It is. And we all feel shamed into potentially doing that we don't want to stand out, because we don't want to necessarily be called out for who we are immediately. And do you find, we do find that we're stuck. And I think when we're talking about creativity or finding your gifts could be any kind of work. It doesn't have to be that you're an artist necessarily. It could be that you could apply creativity to anything, which is something we talk a lot about on this show, that creativity just is missing from a lot of work streams, and it's having to come back into different... Do you find that there's any trends of creative people, of companies, in particular corporations, organizations, calling creativity back into play as something that's important, that's valuable?
I think they want to.
Okay.
They want to, or they want to at least look like they are.
They want to at least look like they are.
I got a call from... I did a talk... I got called by Converse to do a talk, to go to their every year they have a big, get all their people together, and the theme was, I was the keynote, and their theme was unleashing creativity. And I had just done take this job like a second or third time. And I get there, and it's the night before, and there's a huge screen, bonking on stuff, huge screen, and I wanted to make sure the slides work, and I'm like, okay, here's where I talk about, your work is a gift, here's where I talk about there ain't no rules, here's where I talk about this idea. And I said, okay, thank you, good night, I'll see you tomorrow. And the creative director says, hey, can you hold on for a second? I'm like, yeah, sure. And he said, the CFO and the COO want to talk to you. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting in a dark theater. Like, I'm in detention. Fucking detention.
Like,
I'm in a dark theater, like, waiting. I'm like, okay, teacher's coming. And he's bringing the principal. And they come and they hand me my $10,000 check. They said, thank you. We won't need you to speak tomorrow. And I'm like, but no, wait. I just did. I just got all these people excited about their work and about, and they're like, no, it's okay. And I'm like, okay, bye. And I talked to the creative director a couple days later, and he was like, they were afraid that some of the audience wouldn't show up to work next day.
Oh, interesting.
I would, oh my God, I would unleash creativity? Are you kidding me?
It's so dangerous.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my God.
Here, James, here's a big plastic Tupperware lid to put on that shit.
Wow. That's a lot of fear. That's like, right?
I know. But, I get it. They it's like creativity is the opposite of business.
Right.
Its concerns are different than business. So you have to figure out how to meet, and they are tenuous at best.
They are tenuous, but they need but I think business needs creativity, even creativity within business structure, to be able to keep it going, potentially.
Yeah. Right?
Because I guess the hot thing I was talking about, the rise of AI and tools in regard to designers and so on, but I do feel like in the fact that we don't have to do as much manual stuff potentially, isn't the creativity one of the main assets that are remaining, sort of our thought process and our creativity and our,
our flaws
and our
our weirdness.
Yes.
Our mistakes. I mean,
right.
most of my mistakes I turn them into work.
Right.
You know, because what I find is like if I'm working on a job, even if it's for myself, I'm nervous because there's a goal I'm trying to get to, and I'm like, no, let's not. Don't think about going, because that's just going to end you into boredom,
right.
normalcy, or the making the obvious here. So I try to pay attention to the mistakes that happen and go, oh, that would be funny.
Right.
You know, it's like if you got your work going, I got my work going, and we meet at the bar and we're hanging out, and I'm like, Nikki, what's going on? You're like, James, I got this job, trying to figure out how to like connect with these people, and then we have a drink or two, and at some point we get to we get to where creativity starts, and it goes like this. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It would be really funny. And whatever you say next, that's the answer.
That's the thing that you're going to do.
That's the gotta do. That's the thing you got to do. Because it's crazy.
Right.
Because it's crazy. And AI ain't got that.
Well, they got their own sort of way of being crazy. AI is doing its own thing in terms of but subterfuge and all of that in terms of,
yeah, but AI to me is like Purdue chickens, right? Purdue chickens are all the same size because they're these horribly raised chickens that have to be the exact same size, and they're shoved into a tube to grow, like to not grow this way, or so AI to me is like that.
Yeah, it's like automation a bit. But I mean, do you feel like designers are going to be using? I mean, in terms of the future, designers are going to start using it more.
I mean, I think it's easy.
Right, it's easier to use it and then that does mean that it forces as a designer to think about what your process is and craft your work and do things that are outside of the norm, right?
It's easy and lazy, and easy is a trap. Easy is always a trap.
Yeah.
Easy is a trap. And I think I always say the person who knows how to start a fire will always be in demand. Like literally knows how to start a fire will always be in demand because we trust ourselves. We use our gifts. We use our tools. We know how to use our hands.
How do you feel like you tell people to trust themselves, though? I mean, do you feel part of a lot of my questions for you were just around self-confidence and trusting people, your instincts? Because that's an inherent thing that you have, which is a gift in itself.
It's a
gift and a curse.
It's a thing that I've tried to cultivate, and I have to stay on it. I have to keep doing that. And I do that by I do it by study. I do it by writing and talking about these ideas, which is the thing that we all have to do. We can't just go, okay, I'll trust myself.
Right. You have to keep on exploring
and failing. Failing is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Failing is a great shepherd. We just don't want to risk it. But you learn more from failing, and also the only real failure is to not trust yourself, is to not start in the first place.
Right. And when you coach people, because I get into that because everyone became a coach during the pandemic. Everyone became a coach all of a sudden, and
they were like, I've got this accredited. Like, there's a school for that? There's a school for that. What the hell is that?
Is it a college?
I got a
piece
of
university?
Paper, an online course.
I mean, everyone's coaching, and we started the podcast doing a lot of episodes with my friends who became coaches or are coaches or are health people or whatever. And I did ask that same sort of question as to what do you feel about when you coach people? Are you telling them really to just are you digging in on their own self-esteem and on their own vision and trying to get them to trust themselves more?
Yeah. Well, so you said take this job and love it, and then the talks at 99U, and I like doing talks, and I've got a big talk coming up that I'm super excited about.
Talk about that.
It's not. We haven't finished the talk, so I can't say the name thing, but yes, it's a cool thing, and I've got my own live workshops I do with like 10 or 12 people. And they were never meant to be art therapy or self-help, but they actually kind of always end up that way because a lot of people don't understand that not they are the problem, but their lack of, I have to tell people, take them aside and go, Nikki, the world needs more Nikki. You got to understand that. You got to give it to them. We have to understand that. So, for me, I enjoy that process. I enjoy turning people onto themselves. Right. I can talk to somebody. Especially if you're spending 3 or 4 days together, and you're all staying in a house, and there's a campfire every morning and we dance around the campfire. Then I make you sing and I make you do poetry and I make you do improv and I make you like, there's a real breaking down there, doing all the things that we're afraid to do.
Yeah.
But I can spend time with somebody and I can see inside them and I can reach inside them and I pull out all the wildflowers that they're not looking at and go, this is you. This is what you need to focus on, not that other shit.
Do you see that as a gift that you can see that in other people? I mean, have you always, or do you?
Again, it's like the handwriting.
Yeah.
It's like the handwriting. It's like, it's just something I do. I don't know.
I understand.
It's just like something. I understand.
It's something you see,
it's like my dad was, like I said, lifelong military, real freaking, blue collar guy. And I spoke to my mom a while ago and I said, he built the house we lived in. He was an amateur chef, an amateur photographer. Like, he was creative. He was wildly creative. He didn't know it. It just was trying to come out
in all these ways. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that sound was like
that's
pooping it out.
That's what the sound is.
It is. And I asked my mom. I said, if I asked Dad, he passed away a couple years. The military killed him, but Agent Orange. But I said, if I asked Dad. If he was creative, would he agree? She's like, no, he would never. And I think creative or art, those words are infused with
those are kind of
pink
triggering.
shirts or New York City,
Yeah.
But I said, okay, what if I asked Dad, can you figure anything out? She'd go, oh yeah, he could figure anything out.
Yeah.
He'd say, yeah. That's, that's the level of creativity.
Yeah.
That's how it expresses itself.
However it expresses
itself. And
we're
all, everybody on this planet, we're all born wildly creative. Just forgot.
We just forgot, and we should continue to try to find it.
We let it go. Let it go. I remember when I was a kid, Carnegie Hall, work at the studio, and then go down to, there was a Blarney Stone.
Yes. Yeah.
Old Blarney Stone, tiny little dank, And I'd go drinking there at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon when all the cops and sanitation workers got off their shift. So I would be at the bar with them. These guys were the funniest, most politically astute motherfuckers I'd ever spent time with.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, that guy should be on stage. He should be the next George Carlin. This guy is a writer. That guy should, it's like the Billy Joel song.
Yeah.
Right? And I think all of them would just go, it's just something I do,
Yeah,
it's like, it's fun. I entertain the boys,
That's what I got.
It's what I got, It's and I think because in this culture, definitely, and possibly around the world, I don't know, that thing is not condoned. It's not rewarded. It's not fostered. All the things I'm trying to do with my kids, it's not.
It's not set to.
And that's, SBA, even the school, art school feels like that to me.
Well, it's too, because it's also, we could get into this for much longer, but it's also a privileged position to be looking for that in yourself. That's like, for you, I think we all need to want to enjoy our work, but it's also a privilege to look and say, well, what do I really want to be doing? And I guess it's trying to find, maybe it's an everyday, applying creativity to your everyday existence, right? And just all the actions that you take. Yeah,
there's an idea that I like talking about that says an artist is anyone who loves what they do. And I think a bus driver in New York can be an artist.
Right.
And it's not about it's not about the objective again, right? It's about what can I do in my daily work to make other people's lives better.
Right.
And a bus driver can do it so easily with a smile.
Yeah.
With acknowledgement.
It's that yourself is a gift. That's something that's a huge revelation.
When I was living here, I haven't been living here in 10 years, but when I was living here, there was a conductor on the A line that you'd get on at Union Square and he'd say, next stop, 23rd Street, home of, and he would just go into like the highlights, or 34th Street, home of Herald Square, Macy's department store. Doors are closing. Everybody just starts smiling.
Do it's going to make you happy that a couple weeks ago, we had a train conductor that did that same thing. On every single stop, they would do the highlights of the stop.
So great.
And everyone started smiling at each other in the car.
Art.
Yeah.
Art saves lives.
That's a great. That's a great
So
stuff.
good.
We're gonna wrap, but I wanted to. What I know there's so much to talk about. I want to talk first about you're coming to New York. We're in New York for everyone, and you're doing a series here. Those tickets are open for that event.
Yeah.
It's a Fearless
It's called
series.
Fearless. Yeah.
Is Fearless is based off of? Are you doing those other places, or is this?
We are planning the next one in London.
Oh wow.
And a West Coast one, and we were asked to do possibly Toronto.
What's it about?
It is. I call it. It's a symposium and dinner series. So there are dinners involved, because I mean that's the way to really learn is to break bread with other
true.
creatives, right?
Absolutely.
And I call it a teaching symposium. So I'm getting myself and 4 other creatives. I would love 16 other creatives, but how many can you fit in a symposium in one day? Talking about our tools and our struggles and our stories, and like the real stuff, not like and this thing I did for IBM and this thing I did for.
Well, that's not the interesting stuff,
Yeah, so I want to get these high end creatives, and they're from film and branding, and an illustrator for the New Yorker who's got a regular column, and a #1 podcaster in the country. Get people to just talk about. Okay, you know me as that. Here's what sucks. Here's what I have to work on.
Yeah.
Here's what my life is like. So the audience, 300-400 people at the SVA theater, which is going to be very cool, can go, oh, I'm not as far gone as I thought.
Well,
They're just like me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be in terms of us talking about this.
Yeah.
In terms of the future of work, of just making.
And we are here to lift each other. We're here to lift each other.
Yeah.
We're here to help each other. What is it? Alan Watts, we're all just walking each other home, right? That's our job.
Yeah.
And my job as for me, and when I'm coaching or whether I'm running workshops or whatever, creativity, teaspoon is the head fake.
Right.
It's the head fake to bigger ideas.
Yeah, it's the gateway in, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
To much larger concepts.
Yeah.
And
people showed up at the workshop I had in Cape Cod in October. We're going to do it again in July. And people showed up and they're like, I just showed up because it was James Victore and Brian Collins. I didn't know what I was here for. And all of a sudden, oh, hey, James, I'm, the crappy relationship I said, well, I'm out of that one. And now I'm moving to Brooklyn and now I'm going to open and hell yes.
Inspiring.
So you found yourself. You're going to go get what you were put here for. Very cool.
And that's very rewarding and important.
Yeah. And, side note, it was an abusive relationship that went on for too long, and they saw it and didn't do anything.
Yeah, but sometimes just being able to have an epiphany or open up to other things can help you see that, and that's really good work to be doing.
Art saves lives.
Art does save lives, and so does creativity, and so does what you're doing, actually, as it turns out. Because this is the holidays, I would be remiss. I'm going to ask you a couple things you recommend that you like to consume on a general basis. But as a designer or as a creative or as a person of the world, what do you like about the holidays the best? It could be, I personally like, smelling pine and, around me for no reason.
That's awesome. Every year this time I go searching because I forget. I've got to write it down this year. I forget. There's a certain pine candle that I get, and I my kids do it now. I light it every morning because I love. If there was a candle that smelled like apple cobbler, that would be awesome because that's the holiday smell for me.
Yes.
And I'm a big Christmas guy. I'm a big holiday guy because that was one way that my father could show love he was into holidays. He was into decorating the house and doing crazy stuff. So.
Okay. Did you decorate your house already?
No. When I get back, I'm hitting the road hard.
Yeah. All right. I need to do that too. A couple things you're consuming, and that could be across eating, watching, reading, whatever. What are some things that you are doing right now that you like, that you want to recommend?
Well, I mean, being in New York is such a wonderful throwback. I'm falling into all my favorite old things.
Sweet.
I wanted to, especially this time of year, I wanted to get to, what is the name of it? It's just down from 23rd Street on 3rd Avenue, Austrian restaurant. I think it's not Rolf's. I forget the name of it. They decorate Like it's heavy decorated. It's Wiener Schnitzel and Glühwein and
Delicious.
Spätzle, all the good stuff. Right now, I'm listening to a lot of, Leon Bridges, Olivia Dean, that kind of stuff.
Sweet.
Love. And I've got music playing 24/7 at my place. Like I put it down low when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like,
I understand that impulse.
yeah. And I get up super early. I get up at like 4:30 in the morning. So it's nice to have that kind of like, to be putting my coffee on. It's still dark, and I go out on the porch and I just sit and write and love it.
That sounds nice. How can people support you or follow you? Should they do all the regular things?
Instagram is where I kind of practice.
Okay.
I put ideas out. I put, if I make something goofy, I'm like, yeah, what do you think? I'm like, look at me, look what I did.
Yeah.
Right? It's my place for look at me.
Okay, great.
Instagram. I haven't really paid attention to the other stuff. Things flow over onto LinkedIn and Facebook, but I'm not very good at that.
I understand.
And I've tried to do Substack, but I'm doing it poorly.
That's okay. I think everyone should Google James Victore to see all the images we're talking about today. And we'll also do links in the show notes for this.
Yeah. Well, if you Google me, there's a lot of images that I haven't done that are on there too.
That's true. That's true.
Crazy.
And I found some of those as well. And I was like, what are those?
Am I not allowed to edit this? I'm sorry.
You're not in charge of your own
I am
persona
not.
anymore. None of us are. And on that note, thank you so much, James, for talking to me.
Darling, it was a real treat. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. I'm Nikki Frankel saying if you do what you love, you never work a day. If you want to see what we're doing, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok and join the conversation on the Discord. Take care of yourself and those around you. Never Work a Day is produced by Preview Media. Producers are Gina Bouchard, Eleni Simos, and Stefan Vloshki. Our editor is Jasmine Jackson. See you soon.